All right. Today we're drafting on the 2 spot. Draft is open. Let's go. Second video on fantasy football this year. My last video we were drafting out of the 7 spot. This we're going to draft out of the 2 spot. A little bit better. We're going to have our choice between Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook, my 2 top players this year. I'm excited. I think this draft's going to go very well. 2 of the top backs, and I think there's a big drop-off, honestly, between Cook and Barkley at 3. So I'm really happy to be drafting on 2. This is probably one of my favorite spots to draft in a 10-team PPR mock. 10. If you don't know, 10-team head-to-head PPR. If you watch my first video, you know how pissed I get at people that auto-pick during mock drafts. So hopefully with a minute and a half to go, some of these people pop in, but whether they do or they don't, we keep going. We go through the whole draft. We pick the entire roster out. I'm excited. The worst part about these mock drafts is just waiting until they start. When I hop on, I'm not trying to wait 6 minutes to get my fake draft started. I'm just trying to rip through these, see if I can get my guys, who falls, who goes earlier than expected. Take a look at the rankings up top here. Christian McCaffrey, PPR, obviously he's going to be the number 1 player. PPR monster. Last year he was hurt, which if you drafted him first overall last year, I feel very bad for you because he would have been the number 1 player if he would have stayed healthy. Unfortunately, he did not. Dalvin Cook in the 2 spot also have had some injury issues in the past. Hopefully he's put those behind him. Saquon's always hurt. I think he's out for the first couple weeks of the season. We'll see here. The ACL rehab, obviously, he got hurt in like week 2 last year. I think he's going to probably be out the first couple weeks of this season, which hurts if you're drafting 3rd overall. You kind of got a dilemma to choose from between, in my opinion, these guys in the 2nd tier, Saquon, Kelsey, and Kamara. Team Brown's not showing up. All right. He's going auto pick in the first pick. Obviously, he's taking McCaffrey, which I get my guy, Dalvin Cook, at number 2.
Welcome to the best day of the year. Draft day.
We'll mute Matthew Berry there. I'm a Vikings fan. Dalvin Cook's my favorite player. He's a stud. If he stays healthy, he's definitely one of the best backs in the league. I feel very confident with him at 2. I'm more than ecstatic to get him there. He's usually going to be at 2 because Christian McCaffrey's likely going to go number 1 in your draft unless your league mates are idiots. If so, you take McCaffrey at number 2 if you're sitting there. I get Dalvin Cook, which you can't lose in the 2 spot this year. You can't lose because you're either getting Dalvin Cook or Christian McCaffrey, 2 of the easily the best backs in fantasy football. Can't lose situation. Number 3 pick is not my favorite spot to be in this year. You got to choose between Saquon, who's risky, Travis Kelce, who's a tight end, and Kamara, who doesn't have Drew Brees anymore. He's more of a receiving threat than he is running. Obviously, he had those 6 touchdowns against Minnesota on Christmas Day, but you don't expect that from Kamara this year. He's not going to have as good of a year as he had last year. How many points did he put up that week? 6 touchdowns. That's insane, dude. Doesn't say. A lot. He put up like 60 fantasy points. Not happening this year. That kind of carried his ranking last year. He's still a first-round player easily, but I just don't see Kamara putting up similar numbers to last season. Especially since Drew Brees relied on checking down so often because his arm strength was not there in his last few years. Patrick Mahomes 4. Man, people are stupid. Okay, if you're drafting a quarterback in the first round, just don't do that, dude. This isn't like an actual football team. You don't take quarterbacks in the first round. You can find quarterbacks late. If you take a quarterback before the 4th round, you're an idiot. Like, there's no way to, unless you're in a 2-quarterback league, you're very dumb if you take a quarterback that early. Team Cook does not know what he's doing. You run into those guys all the time, though. A lot of people take QBs early. They just don't really know fantasy football. And I assume you guys probably do if you're watching this video trying to learn more about it. Just don't draft quarterback in the first 4 rounds. Whatever you do, don't do it. Alright, coming up here, we got the latter end of the first round. A couple decent backs still on the board in Elliott and Eckler. But pretty much the board is falling to shape outside of a huge reach on the homes there. Elliott goes there, a solid pick. Eckler. So I'm picking at 19, which is on the turn. And there's some good talent here that people are not going to take. First guy I got my eye on, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He had good numbers up until LaShawn McCoy signed in Cincinnati. And he wasn't even reaching the end zone. See, he had a bunch of carries, over 20 carries half the weeks. He had over 3 receptions in most of these weeks. People are going to sleep on Edwards-Helaire just because he didn't have the greatest season. But he's in the most explosive offense in the NFL. And we saw what Kareem Hunt did in that offense. We saw what Damian Williams could do in that offense when given opportunities. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to get those opportunities this year. If you look at the Chiefs' depth chart, let's see, Kansas City. All right, you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Darrell Williams, Jerick McKinnon, nothing else. Like, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, easily the number one back in that backfield. I heard Jerick McKinnon is probably pushing for that number 2 spot behind Darrell Williams. So you might want to watch that as a handcuff in a late deep draft. But Edwards-Helaire is going to get the work this year, and unless he underperforms, he's going to keep getting those carries. Other guys I like at the turn here, Joe Mixon. Mixon's good back with him, too. Staying healthy is the big issue. We got Calvin Ridley, who's now the number 1 receiver in Atlanta with Julio Jones gone. But if you saw Atlanta roll up their depth chart, their offensive line is absolutely awful this year. It's going to be hard for Matt Ryan to find time. Calvin Ridley's still that number 1 option, though. They don't have much else outside of Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley, so look for him to get more targets this year than he did in the past few years. Antonio Gibson's still there. Stud second-year running back for the Washington football team. He put up great numbers last year in a worse offense. He's on a better offense now. If he falls to me here, if I can get Antonio Gibson and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I am jumping. Antonio Gibson went, which sucks, but all right. This is tough. Just kidding. It's not tough. So auto pick behind me is going to pick the next 2 guys, which is going to be Hopkins and Mixon. So I'm going to take my number 1 guy on the board for me, and that's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I like picking running backs early. If you watch any of my videos, you know running backs early is what I like to do. Hardest position, most valuable position in fantasy football. All right. Couple options to choose from here. DK Metcalf, obviously, he's playing for a great quarterback in Russell Wilson. But Seattle's trying to pass the ball more this year, or run the ball more this year, get back to their basics. So I'm going to avoid DK. DeAndre Swift, he's on a horrible offense, one of the worst offenses I've seen in years. David Montgomery, I don't fully trust him yet. A.J. Brown, he's got Julio Jones with him now. Justin Jefferson's a name to watch. He put up 1,400 yards in his first season. But I have Dalvin Cook, another Viking. So here I'm going to take actually Keenan Allen. I didn't talk about him much before I picked him, but Keenan Allen, Phillip Rivers towards the end of his Chargers days where it was not good. And Keenan Allen was still putting up huge numbers. Now he's got the best quarterback of his career in Justin Herbert, and Herbert's only going to get better. Keenan Allen's a target monster. Great for PPR. If you're playing in PPR, you want Keenan Allen. Look at these targets. 10, 19, 11, 13, 12, 11, 19, 10, 11, 11. Keenan Allen's consistently getting double-digit targets, and that's how you get points. Each catches a point. Maybe he doesn't put up huge yardage totals. He had not even 1,000 last year, but he was injured a couple games. He got the targets. If you're getting 9 catches for 52 yards, that's an easy 14 points right there. And that's 14 points, I'll take that from a wide receiver. All right. This team looks damn good, dude. Chargers, best offense they've had. Edwards-Helaire, people are sleeping on him this year. Dalvin Cook, one of the best backs in football. We got 5 people on auto pick again. It is insane. Why do you do a fantasy draft if you're only going to draft 1 round and not join at all? It doesn't make any sense. All right. I really like the 30 to 40 range this year. And I'm going to probably be able to pick two of those guys at 39 and 42 here. CeeDee Lamb is going to be thrust into great opportunity in Dallas. He's ranked high. He's ranked high this year, don't get me wrong, but he's going to get the opportunity, and he is a great receiver. There's a reason he went in the first round, the NFL draft last year. All right, we have 3 picks to go. Our choice here. More quarterbacks going off the board. Incredible. Robert Woods. If Robert Woods is there, I'm taking him. He's playing with Matthew Stafford. Huge upgrade from Jared Goff. Robert Woods is, in my opinion, the number 1 receiver in Los Angeles. They're going to throw the ball a lot. Cam Akers injured. Robert Woods is going to get those opportunities. And he fell to me. 33rd ranked, fell to me at 39. I would have picked him early in the 4th round, and he's still here at the end of it, taking Robert Woods. Dude, this team is so sick. The number 2 spot is unreal. This is crazy. All right. So I'm left with 4 really good options here. Dude, I love this area to pick in. This is awesome. Josh Jacobs, a beast running back for the Raiders. Julio Jones, who's his injury issues, but he's unreal at football. DJ Moore on a team that passes a lot. Number 1 receiver. Chris Godwin. You know, there's a lot of receivers there, but he's a great player. Deontay Johnson, target monster. I'm going to... God.
Quick, make your pick.
You know what? I'm picking Josh Jacobs. These running backs are incredible on my team right now. Dalvin Cook, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Josh Jacobs. You can't ask for 3 better running backs than that. You really can't. Josh Jacobs, he's ranked a little bit lower this year just because team signed Kenyon Drake. And he's not a huge receiving threat. They just don't use him that way, really. But 23-year-old back, and he's a really good player. I feel good about Josh Jacobs in my flex spot. He's a beast. All right, moving through this round here. A couple guys I like in this range that probably won't be there when I'm there. Cooper Kupp, Deontay Johnson, Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase, something to note, he has been struggling in camp. And I think it says here, fighting the rookie learning curve, which is really surprising to me just because of how successful he was in college. He says it's been hard to create separation in camp so far, which is not a good sign. Creating separation is the number 1 part of being a receiver. If you can't get open, you're not going to get the ball. So keep an eye on that. Scaring me off a little bit. I have drafted him before, but I'm maybe backing off until I hear some better reports out of Bengals camp. Picking at 59, Brandon Iuke, big play threat. For Shanahan. Shanahan absolutely loves Iuke. It's hard to trust that San Francisco team, though. Somehow they just never stay healthy, and they run the ball a lot. So with Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Iuke, a lot of people to share targets. And I don't know if I feel great about him at 48, maybe later on, but I doubt he will be there. OBJ. We haven't seen much from OBJ in the past couple of years with his injuries and just can't stay on the field. He's an interesting option there. Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas at 58 is crazy. He's their number 1 receiver, and they don't really have much receiving options after him. He's going to miss the first couple of weeks of the year with his injury, and he has been vocal on social media kind of against the Saints in the past week for not allowing him to get surgery last year, and now he's not healthy yet, and I don't know if that's going to turn into anything, but Mike Thomas at 58, he's way better than the 58th best player in fantasy. The question is when is he going to be healthy? If he is healthy, are Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill going to favor him as much as Drew Brees did? It's a big question mark, but still great value there at 58. Juju, I'm staying off the Pittsburgh receivers this year. I just don't know which one is going to... Outside of Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson, he's going to get the targets no matter what. I just don't know which one of these guys is going to fully break out. And if one of them really can, because there's so many good options in that receiver group. So Deontay Johnson's a safer option of those guys. Juju and Claypool are a bit more risky, but probably have higher ceilings. Claypool especially. Alright, coming up, man, I feel like people are drafting horrible. How are all these guys falling to me? Not that bad. A lot of quarterbacks going off the board. I love seeing quarterbacks go off the board early because I just wait. Like if Lamar Jackson's there at 68, I'm taking him. He is like the fifth ranked running back or quarterback this year, and he should not be the fifth ranked quarterback. The man runs for like 100 yards a game. Even though he doesn't throw for a ton, he is the safest pick in fantasy football. Let's see. I'm going to pick here quick. Alright, my team is stacked. We're going to the bench. My philosophy is on the bench, you take risks on guys that can be top options for you. I'm taking that risk with Mike Thomas. The talent's there. The pedigree's there. Just needs to be healthy, and we're all set. Oh, Lamar Jackson got taken by an auto pick. Are you kidding me? Alright. Well, shoot. That's fine. We can get quarterbacks later. I'm not going to sweat over quarterback. Best available here. Bench, you go best available, no matter what. Let's see. I told you about the Pittsburgh guys. ETN's a question mark. Kareem Hunt's the number 2 back. DJ Chark could very easily have a good year, but I'm going to take Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson had a great year.
Make your pick!
With the Panthers last season. With Teddy Bridgewater playing quarterback. And Teddy Bridgewater isn't a guy to throw the ball downfield very much. Robbie Anderson's a deep ball receiver, too. He can obviously do way more than that, but he's a great deep ball receiver. He's played with Sam Darnold in New York, and now he's playing with Sam Darnold in Carolina. They had a great connection there. So I expect the Panthers are going to be one of the highest throwing teams in the NFL. Robbie Anderson's going to be used quite a bit. Now that Curtis Samuel is out of Carolina, it's basically just DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, receiver. They don't have much else. We can look at the rest of their depth chart here. Blind. Yeah, Terrace Marshall, who's a rookie. David Moore, who played in Seattle. Shi Smith. Not much behind those two. They're gonna have the wide receiver 1 and 2 spots locked up all year. So I'm not worried about that. Alright, literally everyone's on auto pick. This is so annoying. Guys, if you run a mock draft, at least wait until like 10 picks in. Like you have 10 picks in to go on auto pick. I just don't get it. The majority of the practice too in mock drafts is drafting late. Drafting early kind of falls the same way a lot of times. Drafting late's where you figure things out. Doesn't make any sense to me, but hey, we're more prepared than everyone else going into this year. Alright, didn't really look at the options here. Let's see. Will Fuller, speed receiver. Tua, we don't know how he's going to do yet. Is a risk I'm willing to take. I don't think it's worth it just because there's so many options in Miami that you can throw to. Javonte Williams, I'm a big fan. The question is just Melvin Gordon next to him. James Robinson's going to lose some work to Travis Etienne this year. I like Devontae Smith, but is he going to stay healthy? Alright. I got 3 great running backs, so I'm loading up on
make your pick!
Really good wide receivers on my bench to have the possibility to break out. Mike Thomas, Robbie Anderson, DJ Chark. That's solid. That's a solid group of receivers. I probably shouldn't take a receiver anymore just because I'm so stacked at that position. I'm going to pick Damian Harris. Damian Harris has been doing really good in camp. He's not the biggest receiving threat. He's not going to get a lot of catches, which hurts in PPR. But I think he's going to carry the majority of the work for a run-heavy New England team. So I'm going to take Damian Harris. He's going to be my 4th running back on my team. I feel good about it. He's going to have really good opportunities this year in New England. All right. Looking up on my next pick, we obviously have to look at a tight end eventually. I like Noah Fant this year. With Teddy B. Teddy B likes using wide receivers. If he ends up getting the starting job over Drew Lock, we'll see. But Noah Fant, when he's healthy, he puts up solid numbers even with Drew Lock. I don't know how to feel about Jonnu or Hunter Henry. Like, they're both better than where they're ranked, but who's going to get more receiving opportunities? I know they're both going to get used, but there's obviously going to be one guy that stands out over the other. I'm not confident on who that guy's going to be yet. Irv Smith, number 1 tight end in Minnesota. As a Vikings fan, I can tell you Irv Smith is light years better than Kyle Rudolph is. Irv Smith has been shining in camp as well. He was a great receiving threat coming out of Alabama, and he's just worked on his craft the last couple of years, and he's going to continue to do that. I feel confident in Irv Smith going into this year. Depends where I have to pick a tight end. Like Mike Gesicki too, Robert Tonyan. Like, there's a lot of tight end. There's decent tight end late guys that you can get that you feel fine about. You're not going to obviously be over the moon about them on your team, but there's also, like, I'm not going to reach to take a tight end. And in my last draft, I took George Kittle just because he fell in my lap in a place where I didn't like a ton of people around him. But normally I'm not going to go out of my way to draft a tight end. We got some options here. I'm not loving anyone. We got 2 picks on the turn. I like Mike Williams. I don't think I'm going to take a wide receiver right now. I usually say take the best player available, and I stick to that. But when there's not that much of a difference, sometimes you can go need. Alright. I'm going to pick... I'm taking a flyer on Jalen Waddle. He has such huge potential as, like, an incredibly fast receiver who can still run routes. He played with Tua in college at Alabama. I feel good about Jalen Waddle. Whether it's this year or in future years, I think he's going to have a very good career. So I feel good about taking him towards the end of my bench. I'm going to take Noah Fant. Noah Fant, we all know when he's healthy. There's a big question on a lot of these guys. I know I've mentioned it a ton of times throughout this draft, but a lot of it's just health too. If players can stay healthy, they're going to be a lot better than they're ranked. And sometimes you got to take risks on guys with a little bit of an injury history because if they do stay healthy, they're going to easily outperform where you drafted them. All right. I got 6 wide receivers. I'm not going to take another one. 6 is probably a good number. I might take one more, depending on who's there. All right. I never draft 2 tight ends. I only usually draft 1. When it comes to the week, my tight end has a bye, or if he gets hurt, I just drop the last person on my bench for him for a new tight end. It's one of the easier to replace positions. I'm going to start looking into quarterbacks now. Some of the late round guys I like this year is obviously Trevor Lawrence. Urban Meyer's going to want to use him. One of the most talented quarterbacks to come out since Andrew Luck. I think he's ranked actually kind of low, which is surprising for a rookie QB that was hyped up for the longest time. Joe Burrow's also been struggling in camp, so I'm going to stay away from him for now. Justin Fields, an interesting name if you have a deeper draft you could take. Deshaun Watson's obviously down here with his legal issues. I don't think that he's going to see the field this year. If we get news differently, he's obviously going to shoot up the board into the top 100. But right now, you do not draft him. Kirk Cousins got really good receivers in Thielen and Jefferson. He's good at that at 167. That's a decent value. I wouldn't reach for him.
Guess they had their eye on him too.
Look at that running backs here. Oh, yes. He's still there. All right. Watching my videos, Trey Sermon. I'm a huge fan of Trey Sermon just because of the situation he's in. A lot of it for running backs is just the position they get drafted into. Trey Sermon's in a great position in San Francisco. They love doing play action. They love running the ball. He's behind Raheem Mostert, but if something happens to Mostert, which something happens to Mostert every year, Trey Sermon is going to get lead back role, and he's still going to get carries even with Mostert healthy. So,
quick, make your pick.
Taking a young, promising rookie back this late, I feel very good about it. I'm probably going to take him in like every draft this year unless he gets super overdrafted. All right, defensive kicker, bench. Let's see if I want any guys here. Not super interested in any of these guys. Yeah, I'm going to pick my quarterback now. Is Trevor still there? Man, of course. I missed out. It's fine. These guys don't have good offensive lines this year. Matt Ryan and Ben Roethlisberger. Joe Burrow, I don't feel great about. Tua, very risky. Yeah, I mean, the quarterbacks right now aren't great, but there's always someone that comes out of nowhere that plays well. I'm taking a risk. Tua Tagovailoa. I don't feel good about it. I'm going to be honest, I don't feel great about it. But like I said, someone always comes out of nowhere and becomes a top 10 quarterback that isn't drafted. So I just need to hop and be active in free agency on quarterbacks, use my flyers there, and I'll get a good quarterback. And I didn't even have to draft one until the final 4 rounds. So, you know, if you're getting like your second running back this late, you're doing something wrong. If you're getting your quarterback this late, it doesn't matter. Teams win championships that draft quarterbacks late all the time. So it's just about being active in free agency, being active on the waiver wire during the season every week, and you're going to get a guy that he may not be the greatest quarterback, he may not be putting up 30 points a game, but he's going to be serviceable for you, and you're not going to lose weeks because of him. You've got all these other talented players in your starting lineup that you can rely on that are way more important to your team. So you'll be winning weeks because of these guys, not losing weeks because your quarterback isn't top 5. All right, defensive kicker, I usually go last 2 rounds. Sometimes I could draft a defense earlier. I don't know enough about these defenses right now to draft anyone early. I know I like the Broncos D. Steelers D is obviously very good as well. Like all of these top Ds, solid. Rams got Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. They get about these top 7 defenses, so not too worried. I'm going to find a guy to fill out my bench here, take another flyer on someone with potential to break out. If I have time, I don't have time to prepare. Everyone's on auto pick. Paris, gone. I like Paris Campbell. Shoot. I like Bateman this year. He's hurt. He's going to be hurt for a couple weeks, but I believe he'll be back for week 1. Heck, just to give myself more time to find my last bench player, I'm going to take a deep. I'm not going to get any more time. Because everyone's on auto pick. Literally every team in this draft is on auto pick. Heck. So I don't draft 2 QBs either. I do the same thing I do with tight ends. I just pick one up when my starter has a bye week, drop the last person on my bench. I feel like then I don't have to stash players I'm never going to use. Alright, I'm struggling. Alright, I'm going to pick Jerick McKinnon. Just
quick, make your pick.
Number 2 back in Kansas City. And if something happens to my starter, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jerick McKinnon will get those starting reps. And if you haven't heard about handcuffing in fantasy football, it's actually very valuable. You draft late, your starter's backup. And if something happens to that guy, you get another guy, the same guy, jumping right into that opportunity. He's probably not going to put up the same numbers as how good the starter is, but he's going to have a very solid number. So I'm going to pick Jerick McKinnon late. So I have the Chiefs running back no matter what. I feel really good about that. All right, what happened to Greg Zuerlein? Break the leg. Dude, I hate kickers. If you like kickers, man, I don't know. Kickers just piss me off. Dude, what's up with all these kickers? Why are they all hurt? Terrible. Tyler Bass. You want to choose kickers on teams that put up a lot of points? Buffalo, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs.
Quick, make your pick.
I feel good about it. Whatever. Kickers don't matter. So I'm going to pick Tyler Bass there. No one cares. All right. As a draft, we'll recap it real quick. Dalvin Cook at number 2. If you're drafting in the number 2 spot, you're probably most likely going to have Dalvin Cook on the board there, and you will take him. If you take anyone else, just don't. Don't take anyone else. If Dalvin Cook's there at 2 and McCaffrey's gone, take Dalvin Cook. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I picked in the late 2nd round. Great opportunity with Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid said they're going to use him more in the passing game this year than they did last year, which projects very well for him. I believe, in my opinion, he's going to be ranked top 10 in next year's fantasy draft just because of how well he's going to do this year. Keenan Allen, target monster. Justin Herbert loves him. Justin Herbert, up-and-coming quarterback. He's going to use Keenan Allen quite a bit. Robert Woods, he's got Matthew Stafford on the offense now. He's going to use Robert Woods a lot. Sean McVay's going to want to throw the ball with no running backs this year. Josh Jacobs, he's usually a top first 2 rounds guy in the last couple of years of fantasy. He dropped off because he didn't have the greatest year. They added Kenyon Drake, but in the 4th round in my flex position, Josh Jacobs got high upside. I feel great about my running backs and Dalvin Cook, Helaire, and Josh Jacobs. I usually try to pick 3 backs in the first 5 rounds. That makes me feel good about my depth there, and then I can just pick best player available from there on. Michael Thomas. When do you see Michael Thomas on the bench? Not too often. But he's my first player off my bench. When he's healthy, he's probably going to get a ton of targets from Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill. Robbie Anderson. Carolina throws the ball a lot. Robbie Anderson's a very good receiver. DJ Chark. He's got Trevor Lawrence this year. He's going to have a lot better season than he's had in the past. He's had to work with awful quarterbacks. So now that he has a good one, he should improve. Damian Harris, he's going to be the starting running back for the New England Patriots this year. He's not the greatest PPR player just because he doesn't catch a lot of balls out of the backfield. They don't use him that way. But he's going to be the number 1 back there. He's going to get a lot of carries. And in the 10th round where I got him, or 9th round, wherever I got him, it's good value. You're not going to get an all-around great running back at that point anyways. Jalen Waddle, I don't know what he's going to be yet, but he's a fast player, home run threat, and he's a first-round talent at wide receiver. He went 6th overall to the Miami Dolphins in the draft, so they obviously plan on using him quite a bit. I'm willing to take a risk on that. Noah Fant, he's a top 5 tight end when healthy. I just gotta wish for him to be healthy because he's gonna get there. If he doesn't work out, tight ends are replaceable. I'll just pick one up. It's fine. Tight ends, kickers, quarterbacks, defenses, not positions that you have to prioritize in fantasy football. You got to stack up on your running backs and receivers and figure it out from there. Trey Sermon, rookie running back, great situation in San Francisco. He's behind Raheem Mostert, but he should get carries even with Mostert healthy. And if something happens to Mostert, he's going to get thrust into a big role. Tua, I don't know. This is the first time I've actually drafted Tua in any of my mocks this year. It was just because I didn't have a quarterback yet. He was the one I felt that was best on the board. Could have also gone Kirk Cousins there, but I felt like Tua had a higher upside. Obviously a lower floor, but higher upside there. And I'm going to take a risk on a guy with higher upside in the last couple rounds. Steelers defenses don't really matter, but they're one of the best Ds this year. Jerick McKinnon, I handcuffed him. I drafted Helaire and McKinnon, the number 1 and 2 backs in Kansas City. So if something happens to Edwards-Helaire, Jerick McKinnon's going to get the starting role, and I picked him in the last 2 rounds, and he's going to become a top 10 running back if he starts. So handcuffing, obviously a very valuable, very valuable strategy in fantasy football, and kickers don't matter. All right. Appreciate you guys' view. I love doing these drafts. I love showing. It helps me too, just picking at all these positions and seeing how my roster turns out. Drafting number 2 so far has been my favorite spot to draft. I think I have a fantastic roster, and if I get this in my actual leagues, I'm going to feel fantastic about where my roster's sitting. But I appreciate you guys. Keep listening to the videos. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoy it. Subscribe. Appreciate all the views. Apex out.